just like previously we have done for activities resource, where we have grouped all related logic to activities in its own module, we're gonna do pretty much the same but for another resource, timeline items. So let's switch over to the editor and create new module inside the source folder. We'll call this module timeline items. And since the logic related to managing timeline items resource is located inside the app component, now let's figure out which logic should be moved to timeline items module. So here we have a declaration of timeline items array, as well as two functions, set timeline item activity and update timeline item activity seconds. And these are three things that we are about to move to timeline items module. So let's cut all of these from here and paste into timeline items.js. And since we're gonna need this data in the root component, we also have to export this data, so let's add export keyword in front of each declaration, like this. Now let's see what else should be imported in this module. We're using function ref here, so let's add an import statement for function ref, as well as our custom function generate timeline items that we are gonna import from functions module, like so. And one more thing that needs to be imported in this module is this activities array. So let's write down import statement for activities from activities module. And now let's switch back to the root component and remove unnecessary imports from here, such as import of ref function, as well as import of generate timeline items function. And now we are pretty much ready to import all necessary things from timeline items module. We'll create new import statement and import necessary data that we have just moved in this module. So let's just import all this data one by one. Firstly, it is update timeline item activity seconds function. Next one is set timeline item activity function. And finally, we also have to import timeline items array. And that's about it. We have grouped all the logic related to managing timeline items resource in a separate module. So let's try it out in the browser. We're gonna assign activity to this timeline item, start tracking the time. Then let's also try to reset this time and make sure there are no errors. So as we can see, everything is working fine. And just by moving the logic related to timeline items resource in a separate module, we were able to clean up root component even more. And additionally achieved better separation of concern in our project. Let's keep going in the next lesson.